You're listening to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, episode 28.
On today's episode, we discuss the cruise top songs of 2021 and the Worst Vegetable World Cup.
So sit back and chill with friends. You're listening to The After Show with the SojuTalk Nation. Welcome to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, a chill discussion on this week in the SojuTalk Nation. We're recording on Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. I'm your host, Crispy, and joining me this week, welcoming back to the show, Koala. Hey, Koala.
Hello.
Welcome back. It's good to have you. It's you know, there's some behind the scenes with our recording schedule today, and let's just leave it at that. So, some announcements. Soju Sessions episode 16 featuring Warren is now available on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcast. So go check it out. We get into some deep discussions about kind of the history of K-pop, the different demographics, and kind of the trends that Warren has observed over the past year or so, about how its popularity has shifted in Korea. So go check us out, because I think we get into some really, high level stuff. We don't really have a lot of answers to a lot of questions, but I think the discussion itself was just fun to have. Warren and I kind of just went all out on a lot of things. We even got to talk about Loki at the very end there. So yeah, go check us out. And thanks to the main show for shouting us out, Doug, Warren, and Anita. It's just nice to get these types of conversations out into the world and really dig deep on a couple topics. So yeah, celebrating the nation this week with birthdays. On July 24th, we have Pris. Happy birthday, Pris. I think right now she is in South Korea, so wish her all the best. Send her a lot of messages on Discord. Send her a lot of images. Send her a lot of gifts. Just a day of celebration for Pris. So let's move on now to this week in SojuTalk Music, Best K-pop Songs 2021. The group separated their favorite songs into different categories: boy groups, girl groups, and soloists. They all selected 2 songs, and then they kind of wrapped up the conversation with most disappointing songs, kind of a spicier conversation at the end. So we're not going to go through every single song. We're just going to kind of see which ones we agreed with, disagreed with, and perhaps dig a little bit deeper, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right, Koala?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's start off with the boy groups. So there were a couple surprises, but for me, it was interesting to see that NCT Dream, Hello Future, was one of the consensus songs for best K-pop song of this year. What did you think about that choice for the crew and kind of the discussion around it?
I can only imagine what the song sounds like because I haven't listened to it. But it sounds good because of the bubblegum-ish concept, which is kind of fitting to the summer season, even though it doesn't feel like summer here in Germany. And kind of sets them apart of the other boy groups that still, most of the boy group songs I've listened to around this time are still going for the darker theme.
Yeah, there was kind of a shift, right? Because I think for the longest time, well, let's say 2+ years, the meta or the trend has been edgy, dark concepts. And even NCT Dream, or NCT as a whole, right? I think they're just kind of known for a little bit edgier, a little bit harder music. And this song comes through and is a really nice representation of summer, fun, bubblegum, happy, youthful music. From everything from the music video and the colors to even just the song itself. Yeah, you need to listen to the song and watch the music video so you can actually talk about it. Another song that I really appreciated was on this list was TXT01 Love Song, I Know I Love You. Koala, what did you think about Doug having this as one of his top songs?
I think it was pretty expected because I thought that the K-pop fandom as a whole really liked this, especially those who weren't into TXT's music before. And because it was also a switch up for them, even though it is a bit more edgy and more fitting into the current trend. But yeah, I think it was also interesting that Doug's and Warren's list was completely the same. So it also shows that these songs were able to captivate the audience, even though they are so different in concept wise.
Yeah, I think these two songs are very modern K-pop songs. As much bubblegum and familiarity as Hello Future does have, I do think that there's just a lot of things where it's like, oh, this is very distinctly 2021 style of music. TXT 01 Love Song, that is a Western marketed accessible song. It's kind of great. I kind of love it. It's very angsty. It's very evocative of the kind of old. I don't know about old school, but just like a rock sound, like a Western contemporary rock sound, right? I think if you played this on a Western radio station, most people wouldn't notice that it's a Korean song, because oftentimes you just have radio in the background. You're not really paying attention to every detail. But I do think it's just interesting that the crew, Doug and Warren, landed on that song because it is so different from the other TXT songs in the past. I think Warren mentioned it, and I agree with him. I feel similarly. He was not a fan of TXT, or at least didn't particularly connect with TXT's music prior to this. The song is so different, such a departure. Me personally, I connected with this song. I also connected with Anti-Romantic. I just wanted to shout that song out too, because we've mentioned this in the past, but those two songs pair really nicely together. And then we have Anita with her favorite song, which Shiny. Warren continued to berate her and tell her that she only selected this song because she likes Shiny. What did you think about Warren's relentless teasing?
Anita is known to be the agent of chaos, so it was expected for her list to be a bit more spicy. But I can see why she likes this song. Of course, there's probably also a bit of a bias in her opinion, because overall this is objective, right? That's the word. It's not objective, it's subjective. It's their own opinion, taste, and whatever preference. But it does make sense, even though I probably like Atlantis more, just like Doug. But Don't Call Me is more memorable on its own.
Yeah, I think that was a good call by the crew, where they made that distinction, right? Because I felt very much the same, where when I heard Atlantis initially, I was like, oh, this is a really good song. This feels more Shiny. But with Don't Call Me, and kind of the strength of a song being catchy and TikTok friendly and memorable, yeah, I think Don't Call Me sticks in my memory. I said memory 3 times, but yeah, I think it does stand out in that sense. So really good selection by Anita. All right, so honorable mentions. I think there's one that we should talk about. Do you know which one we should talk about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
So Doug mentions that Treasure with My Treasure is a song that he particularly liked this year. For me, I actually forgot that this song came out this year because Treasure had such a long promotion period, and it did feel like it was all grouped together with 2020. But you reminded me that this song came out in January. What did you think about Doug really liking this song enough to consider it as one of his top songs of the year?
It's just so nice when other people also appreciate the stuff you like. But their youthful concept is also shifting away from the older trends, because overall they are hella young. It makes sense for them to do the youthful concept. The youngest is 05 Liner, so he's 16.
You don't
And
you don't like
oh god, stop it. I pretend that song doesn't exist because it's just not fitting their age and overall the concept they should go for.
You don't like the
Because
choreography with a little bit of shirt movement?
that is I Love You. That wasn't I Love
Oh.
You.
That song's supposed to be more wholesome, and yet nope.
But my treasure is wholesome overall. The music videos was very vibrant and the overall dance was not too hard hitting. It was just a nice song to enjoy too. Even though it was like in the beginning of the year, so most people probably forgot it.
Yeah, I think they captured the trend really nicely with, kind of, well, I don't know about being ahead, but I think for the year, they were one of the first, like, very noticeable disco retro songs, right? There were a lot of disco retro songs in 2020, but 2021, I think it feels like it's more refined and polished, or at least those songs have been far more popular than I think they were last year. I think that's just me speaking from personal experience. I have no data to back that up, no evidence to support this, but it does feel like they kind of were the first song of the year if you just consider the calendar year, and a lot of songs followed suit that were really successful, or at least really well received, right? Yeah, I think the overall trends and themes of the year for boy groups were angst, happy anthems, and bubblegum. How do you feel like the crew's list and favorites represented these trends?
I think it's clear looking at the list that the crew's more going into like the youthful bubblegum vibe, especially if you look at like the girl group songs later on. And I guess it also just makes sense because most of us are also probably tired of the edgy and dark songs. Going later on also into like the disappointments, some that Doug mentioned, for instance, Monster X that have been doing their dark theme for quite a while, which probably works for them, but will just not grab like more and newer fans into the fandom.
Yeah, I think people were looking for something different this year, I would say. I think the dark edgy sound concept kind of need to be flipped a little bit. So I think that's where TXT was very successful, because like they kind of took that, but they did something no one else is doing. And I think In Hypen is a good example where it's like, oh, that's very distinctly K-pop. That's probably dark and edgy and angsty, but it does sound maybe a little too familiar with what's already existed, right? All right, let's move on now to girl groups and top girl group songs of the year. I think there's a lot the crew had a lot to say, right? But let's try to synthesize it and really break it down to a much more concise and, I guess, easier to digest conversation. I think the main thing I took away from it is that there definitely is a grouping of songs and groups this year that are all very similar. The crew mentioned Stacy, For Almost 9, Weekly, Brave Girls, and Oh My Girl. I think all of those songs do fit into like the same playlist, and they do play off each other really well. In your opinion, which one was your favorite, and what did you just overall feel about how I wouldn't say they're divided or split, because I think Doug eventually landed that Stacy's ASAP is like an 8.5 for him. But how did you feel about all these songs like essentially being categorized similarly, and how the crew eventually landed on those songs as their favorites?
It makes sense to put them all in one group because I think those are like the songs that popped off the most over the past month, and also were like the most popular in our Discord server at least. And for me personally, I would probably go with Promise 9 and ONG.
So you admit, we have this on record, that I have influenced you to a degree in which you so easily have put Oh My Girl into your top list of the year. Okay, that is all I needed. That is all the confirmation I needed. I appreciate it, and the crew is amazing for having that open conversation. I think for Almost Nine, that song is really good. I don't think that's well. It of course everything's debatable, but in my head, it's like that song is just there's just something about that song where it does hit all of the notes, for lack of a better word, right? Where it's very catchy. It feels like it's composed very well. I can't go into it in as much detail as Warren, but I do feel like it's just a very fluid song, and I have it on a playlist at the very top, and I listen to it, and it's just like, ooh, this is good. This gets me. Oh My Girl, they didn't really shout it out on the show. They did a little bit, but we're gonna talk about it now, and again, so many elements go into K-pop, one of which is how you feel about the group and how well you know the members. And I feel like because of the fact that I'm a big fan, it's all kind of grown from that initial like queendom era of getting to know the group through a competition show and like following them, and then the success they had last year with Nonstop. It's all culminated where they are just continuing that really good relationship with the public. And if you are a fan of them, if you got into them over the past year, I think this is just another celebration of who they are as artists, where it doesn't necessarily have to be like this world-breaking piece of music, but if you can recognize their voices, if you can recognize what they do well, whether that's Yua and dancing, or Sungi with that amazing high note that Doug had a rendition of on the main show that Warren absolutely loves. I think Oh My Girl definitely belongs in this category and belongs on a lot of lists of top songs of the year. And I'm glad that they got a little bit of recognition. So I did fall on a specific side of this weekly Stacey debate. I will just say I like both songs. I think that's where I've come down on. It's like I do really like Weekly and what they're trying to do, or not trying, but what they have done with going youthful, with high energy, with just like very fast BPM, very fast, very high BPM, and then Stacey, where it's just like they are also doing the same youthful vibe but differently. And I think both groups should be commended and celebrated for being different and standing out, and also just like popping off this year. I feel like I've gone on a monologue. Koala, please stop me. what else did you think about the crew's list for top girl group songs of the year and honorable mentions?
I think I was also trying to look for songs, and it eventually still came down to this grouping of songs, because I don't think there were too many good songs. If you I don't know, I'm also not too much into girl groups, but it's still you have these amazing songs, but then there's not a lot of songs that are decently enough to be an honorable mention for me, besides the already well-known groups like Uju Sonyo or aespa, if you want to like that song. Outside of these, it feels like the Nugu area of girl groups, or the lower tiers was probably also given due to COVID, but in general just not as strong as the past years, I would say.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of songs this year, a lot of girl group songs. I think for me in particular, me and Delmonic, hello Del, we explored a lot of music, and ultimately I think we land on him and I just liking a lot of music. We're not very picky. As long as it's pretty catchy, we're pretty good about it. But then kind of zooming out, I totally understand why a lot of those songs didn't hit with general audiences or even K-pop fans, right? Because I think there's still a level of expectation that fans are looking for. And I don't think a lot of those songs did hit, but the ones that did, they popped off real good. So shout out to Rocket Punch, Ring Ring. I like that song a lot. So definitely listening to that song. It does fall into the disco retro genre. And it does fit in really well with a lot of the songs from this year. And surprise, aespa, Next Level. That song is catchy. that song is. I think they said it best. That song did a lot more than they realized this year. From kind of being an homage to old SM songs and to popping off with the general audience. I think those two really surprised the crew in the way they talked about it. Any closing thoughts about girl groups, Koala?
I'm interested to see in which direction girl groups will go. Like, we're slowly moving on to autumn, where normally like sad stuff drops. So I don't know how this will go, because I want to see whether this like happy vibe will continue after the summer, or whether it was just because of like the typical summer vibe songs.
Yeah. Well, autumn is still August is still summer. So I guess we're going into it in about a month and a half from now. Right? So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if the moodiness of the season really captures girl groups, or if we just continue and we just have disco all year. I'm down for that too. All right, let's move on now to soloist. Let's have you start. What stood out to you, Koala, and what were some of your favorite songs that made it onto the cruise list?
I'm surprised that Lilac is on all of the 3 lists. Because Lilac is a good song, but I wouldn't have put it on my list because there are better songs on her album. I like Epilogue so much more than Lilac. And I would even say that I probably like Coin more than Lilac. It's not a bad song, but just in comparison, like, I don't know.
All right. So first of all,
because I'm a male solo simp, there probably wouldn't have been an IU on my list. Let's be honest.
All right. That much is true, and that much is fair. Epilogue is super moody. It's great. It's also a little short, but it's good. I think Cami and I talked about this. It's produced by Sumin. If you don't know her, she's kind of amazing. She's an amazing musician, super producer. She's done a lot of credits on a lot of songs. But I mean, I love Coin. I love Lilac. I love all her songs. So I don't really know where I stand on this. Aside from I've listened to that album so many times. It's all kind of just like one amazing experience to me. So with any IU representation, I'm good. Sorry that you don't feel that way, Koala. But I think it does speak to kind of the totality of what Lilac represents, right? With IU's career to this point, with being a look back as far as visually and story of the song and music video, and then Warren pointing out that there were just a lot of different clues and hints to past songs in the production of the actual song. So I think that's kind of like a masterful way to put together like an art piece, right? Where it's like if you notice all these details, if you notice all these, notice all these little like hints and homages, then it does make it a little bit more special. But if not, it's still a very pleasant song, a very great song to listen to. But I think because of that extra layer, right? It does hit people a different way. And I think it did hit the crew this way, where it's just like, yeah, they can see a lot of the care and attention that this song was taken into. All right, so you're a boy group simp. What were the boy group songs or male soloist songs that they mentioned on their list that made sense to you, or at least surprised you, or that you had thoughts about?
I don't think I have listened to any of the male songs they have mentioned. I have not listened to Taemin yet. It's been like 2 months.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I have no words.
I'm really behind, okay?
Didn't you
I know
watch the
Wood's
music
song,
video?
but no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I thought we talked about this music video.
I remember Wood's song. I remember Doug liking it, so that made sense to me. I I remember Antidote, but I remember that Warren liked it a lot because it was like edgy. Like it was his edgy phase with like
Yeah,
Kang
Warren.
Daniel and then Chungha and
Yeah, Warren had a moment this year where he was just kind of feeling a kind of way. So I'm glad he's out of it now, and he's enjoying Promise 9 and Rocket Punch. Yeah, and I think the crew did a nice job compiling a list, or at least compiling a collection of songs that represented a lot of different sounds. And I think for me this year, kind of trends for soloist, a lot of individual expression. Like I don't feel like, well, how should I phrase this? It feels like a lot of these soloists had control over how the songs were produced and kind of the messaging behind it. And there does seem like there's genuine emotion in a lot of the songs. Just to kind of list them off. So we mentioned IU's Lilac, Woods' Feel. In Doug's honorable mentions, he put Rose with Gone and Haze with Happening. 2 very emotional songs. 2 great songs. And then Warren with Chungha. And then Anita with Advice with Taemin. Which, from a certain point of view, that's a very like emotional song too. Kind of in a different way, more artistic, creative way. That music video is wild. So definitely checks out why Anita likes that song and has that in her top for soloist. All right, so let's move on now to the spicy segment of the week. I don't know, man. This got a little crazy. We're not gonna go through every single one of these, but we're gonna kind of go through our highlights. So the disappointments of 2021. Koala, start off. What were some disappointments that you agreed with or perhaps disagreed with?
I agreed on Warren. Maybe I'm not as emotional about the song like he was, but Yona's I'm Not Cool was not it. But it's not like I had much of expectations, but in the end it was just not good of a song. And I think, okay, yeah, Mafia in the Morning and Alcohol Free are like the common takes, I would say. I don't know. For me personally, Celebrity is missing on this list from IU. Even though I liked the album, the song itself before like the full album drop was kind of generic. But it fits in the album, but on its own it's kind of meh. And I also remember the crew not liking it as much. So I kind of thought that they might have put it in here. I don't know. Rosie makes sense. But besides that, I don't think I have anything to add on.
I think Itzy's Mafia in the Morning will forever be an imprint on 2021 as a divisive talking point. I think if you're an Itzy fan, you don't care about kind of the negativity around it. At least me personally. If you like the song, you like the song. I think there's a lot of redeeming qualities to the song that make it super catchy. But Warren does make a really good point that if you listen to that song 2 or 3 times in a row, you kind of need to stop. I can only imagine that experience being in Uniqlo, listening to it and be like, okay, I can get through this. And it plays again in English and you're like, oh, maybe I can't get through this. And it's like, yeah. I have not listened to the English version. I don't think I will. I still listen to the original version. It's on a playlist, so it's not like I'm repeating it. But, if it sneaks in there and you're like, oh yeah, I remember this part. If you're kind of just listening to it in the background and you're not like paying attention to the entire song, it works pretty well. Alcohol Free, it's twice. They're pleasant. That's all I'll say. Chungha's Bicycle was kind of a surprise for me. I rewatched the music video yesterday. I get it that it's not like the big crescendo of like all of her pre-releases. But I think as a song by itself, it's pretty good. But I think they qualified this conversation by like if the song didn't live up to the hype. Like if there was just a lot of build up to it and it just didn't match. that's how they categorize these songs. And I think that's a really healthy way to kind of look at it, because I think oftentimes people think like disappointment is just like strictly not liking a song. I mean, in the case of Hyuna, yes. But I also think it's there's a spectrum of emotions, right? Where it's like you don't necessarily have to like love a song or hate a song. It could be like, oh, I expected something else because you sold it to me for 2 months and I got this. Not what I expected. So, great conversation overall with the crew. I think this is a really nice midpoint check-in for the year between their favorite songs and some disappointments. And also, remember, it's K-pop. We're just having fun with these conversations. And I think for me, I always look back. It's like, what is my like purpose, or like why am I here? I'm here because I just want to have fun with people I kind of know on the internet. And, I think the crew does a nice job encapsulating all of that. So thank you, Doug, Warren, and Anita, for being the three idiots on the internet talking about K-pop, because we love you guys. All right. Koala, any closing thoughts about the lists for the first half of the year?
I'm interested to see how much the lists will change up by the end of the year.
I know what's changing for me. I have one song that I have not stopped listening to.
Taeyeon.
We can go. Yeah, I love that lady, man. I apologize. My brain stopped. I have a show to do. Okay, let's move on. So they did do a Soju chart this week. They did do Spice King, which, I do appreciate that. At number 3, they had Brave Girls with Chima Param. That song is still going. Congratulations, Brave Girls. Soyeon with Beam Beam, and Taeyeon with Weekend. What did you think about the crew's list this week? How they arrived at it, and if you want to, like the details of like how they individually ranked it, because we do have them. It's just I don't know, man. It's like I don't know, man. What happened here?
But it's been 5 weeks.
Yeah. BTS fans, ARMY, hello. We'll see you. We'll see you in the next release, right? There's another release coming this year, so we'll see you then. Brave Girls. I do have this song and 2 other songs on a summer playlist. They go really well. I feel like I've mentioned summer playlists like 10 times today. I apologize, everyone. If you want it, just hit me up. I'll send it to you. I understand why Anita likes it. Like, I get it. But she likes it a lot, clearly. Soyeon's Beam Beam, I think that's a good song to revisit. I think last week they did mention that there's a bit of a lacking staying power, but I think given the right like headspace and mindset, or just like accidentally coming upon that song, like just hitting play on it, it's not a song I skip. It's actually quite good. So nice to see that there. And we've said this enough. We've no real reason to talk about this anymore, unless we get a reason to next week. Taeyeon with Weekend. I think she's up for Spice King. Let's go. Let's get it. I think overall just a nice inclusion to bring the Soju chart this week, just to give these groups a little bit more time to breathe, and also maybe a reminder for people to go back and listen to some songs, because I would not be surprised if people went back into Brave Girls and Soyeon and said, oh yeah, these are fire. So yeah. All right, moving on now to this week's World Cup. We have the Worst Vegetables World Cup. I thought this one definitely sparked a lot of conversation, a lot of interesting conversation. I typically like all No, I shouldn't say that. I like a large proportion of vegetables, but I do think the vegetables that they selected to drop, right? That's the one that moved on, is the one that they're dropping, right? Did all make sense. Although I could like rationalize like a lot of them and just say like if you covered it with enough like sauce, you probably couldn't taste it. So I think we're good.
Yeah, but
all right. Well, Koala, you are the picky eater. Tell me what you thought about the crew selections, the vegetables in contention, and what moved on, what didn't move on, what you eat, because I don't feel like you eat any of these.
I didn't know that there are people who don't like onions. I thought onion was like a general thing that everybody liked. Because don't you use like onion to stir fry basically everything?
So I agree. I initially had that feeling too, where it's like, oh, isn't onion just like an addition to a dish? But I guess like if the crew, the way the crew talked about it, it's like if you eat an onion by itself, like then
well,
what?
yeah, then it's disgusting,
right? And I think that's where they landed on. But then Anita vehemently does not like onion to the point she removes it from everything. So I guess she just likes the flavor, but the texture. It's just like, okay, I can see that. I don't get it, but I can see it. I think the one that carried all the way through was beetroots or beets. Yes, they taste like dirt.
I don't think I ever had beetroots.
All right, so once you get to a certain age in your life, you decide to be a hipster and want to do the healthy thing.
The thing is, we had that like at lunch in like elementary school a couple of times, but it looked disgusting, which is why I never like tried it.
If you're trying to be a hipster and convince yourself it's good for you and it's good, yeah, I had that phase. I'd go to the farmer's market, buy some beets, roast them.
It's like the color the best part of it, or
nothing's really good about it, honestly.
Oh god.
Honestly, it's just one of those like if you want to make a fancy salad or you want to do something super fancy and make it look like you understand food and culture, or maybe you do. Maybe there's some hidden gem behind beets that
it seems like it's like put in salad for the Instagram photo to be more vibrant.
Yeah, right. Aside from that, from personal experience,
not good.
I don't like it. It does taste like dirt. It doesn't really add anything to it. Like I tried seasoning it, it still tastes the same. So I was like, all right, well, you are a non-versatile vegetable. Like nothing. Yeah. So that one made it all the way to the end. Well, were there any vegetables that stood out to you as far as things that you eat and the crew for some reason had a debate over?
Carrots was confusing as well.
I'm agreed. Very much agreed. I think the main point is that yes, carrot cake is a thing.
Why does Warren enjoy carrot juice?
That was weird. That was weird, actually. Yeah. Like of all the carrot products, he went with juice.
He chose the juice.
And if you think about what carrot juice is, we're not talking about like carrot, like orange carrot juice, like carrot juice with a little bit of fruit and like citrus. No, we're talking about like a carrot that's juiced. That's it.
No.
Warren, I'm sorry. I can't. But okra, have you had okra before?
Nope.
It is slimy. I don't know if all okra tastes the same, but in the Philippines and Filipino like cuisine, there are okra dishes. It comes out really bitter, to the point where it's like
I don't think it's a German thing. I've never seen it here in supermarkets.
Yeah, no, I don't like it. It's not my favorite. Like so okra is one of those vegetables where you can cover it in sauce. Filipinos know we cover everything in sugar and fat, and it still tastes bitter.
I think I've seen it in like some Vietnamese dishes before.
Yeah. So I'm surprised that one didn't make it all the way to the end. But if it was me, that one is a no. I'm sorry. When on. All right. So here's one. Celery. What do you think about celery?
I think I used to like it when I was a kid, but now I don't quite enjoy it as much.
this might be an American thing, but did you like use celery as an extension of a spoon and just like spoon enormous mounds of peanut
No.
butter? Okay, it's an American
I,
thing.
I ate it on its own, like just put some celery in my lunchbox.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. No, not that good. But if a jar of peanut butter and you're using celery as a spoon, pretty good.
I'm not the peanut butter type.
You don't eat anything. Whatever.
I'm picky.
All right, cucumber, zucchini. For the longest time, I could not tell the difference.
I love cucumber. I hate zucchini.
Oh. I still can't really tell the difference. Like if you told me that if you asked me like what are the like distinguishing qualities of like flavor and like crunch, it's like yeah, I can't tell you. They're both they both look the same. They both kind of act the same when you heat it up and like do stuff to it. I don't know. Delicious, but interesting that like cucumber and zucchini were matched up against each other at the end. Oh yeah, and one last thing. A lot of these vegetables, most of these vegetables, you can probably just like put in soup and chili, and just like make it delicious. Yeah, I think that was just a side note I had. I didn't really know where I was going to go with that.
Asparagus though, asparagus in
Say it again.
asparagus in the soup is that enjoyable?
Asparagus in soup. There are versions of soup with asparagus in it.
Really?
Yeah, you can make a soup out of anything.
Would you make beetroot soup?
I would not. I would not try it. Well, no, I would try it if someone made it. If someone was a professional chef and they said this takes away all the dirt flavor and you can
God.
eat it and it'll taste delicious and you'll just have butter and salt and everything that makes things delicious. Then yeah, of course I try it. But aside from that, I don't think. No.
Oh god. That bad?
Yeah, and I also give props to Warren for his evolutionary biology lesson about how we have evolved as foraging humans to look for green things to eat them, and then you see a purple root thing, and you don't eat it because you don't know. But somehow we ate it, and we're still eating it, and it exists.
It was a bad decision.
It's a decision. It exists. It's there. Yeah. Any closing thoughts this week about like the food and vegetables? I think overall this is just a really fun one. A lot of conversation. I think tomatoes somehow being on this list is just perfect because tomatoes are a fruit.
I stop it. Don't. No.
Yes.
Will there be a fruit edition? Fruit is more popular overall, isn't it? So it would be hard to find unpopular food. Fruits, not food. Help. Brain.
It might be a case where they do like the best fruits instead, right? And they just have people.
We had that tier list once in Dumpster Cast. That no.
That was a hot mess. That was like a 2-hour episode.
That was bad.
It was kind of amazing. I can't believe we were there for so long.
It would be interesting to see what the crew thinks about the fruits.
Yeah.
I don't know. Overall, I realize I'm just a really picky eater because I don't quite enjoy most of these.
Yeah, you don't eat much, so I mean, this World Cup really didn't mean anything to you. All right.
I did like some, which was surprising. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. Like, when was the last time you ate any vegetable? Let's be real.
Today, spinach.
Oh, well, there you go. You had spinach. See? Okay. So I guess you are a subject to American propaganda.
Oh God.
That reference is so old. So Popeye the Sailor is a cartoon from like 50 years ago. And he eats spinach out of a can and he gets muscles to fight bad guys. Yeah. That's a thing that exists. I understood the reference because I'm 90. I don't think most people understood that reference. if I'm thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, that happened. But Warren, you do things to keep us interested. You know, you spark up great conversations, so really appreciate that. All right. Well, that does it this week for the World Cup. If you have any more thoughts and feelings about these vegetables, the discussion rages on in the SojuTalk Talk channel on Discord. So yeah, please tell us your thoughts and feelings about the crew and how wrong they were, because I think that is the common theme for a lot of the conversation. All right, let's move on now to our weekly check-in, our closing thoughts. Koala, what have you been up to this past few weeks? We haven't talked to you in a while, but yeah, what are just like things in life, not necessarily K-pop. What have you been up to?
Not a lot. Really not a lot. I'm just seeing the doctors every now and then. Met some friends yesterday. The day before that, I don't even remember anymore. And the weather is also not too nice here, so I can't even enjoy like the summer a lot. Yeah.
You make it sound much more morbid than it is, right? It's like I'm seeing the doctor because I'm hospitalized. I'm like, what? For those that don't know, can you please elaborate just to make sure people like don't like send you like cards of like, please don't die.
I'm not dying, not yet. My face, so the right half, yes, it's the right half of my face is like kind of paralyzed, not completely, so it's not too bad compared to other cases, but still need to have a checkup every now and then. And yeah, I'm still doing like some tests because they still want to find out where it came from. No success until now. It's been 3 weeks, so
yeah. So we don't know. So for all we know, it could be like terrible. We hope not, because we joke. But please don't die.
It's most likely because of the vaccine shot. It could be another virus, but the blood tests didn't show anything, so it's probably the vaccine shot, if anything. The doc said it can happen anytime, so if it could be that Crispy wakes up with paralysis tomorrow. So.
I hope not. Let's not put that in the universe. Let's just keep that in Germany. But yeah, well, we do wish you the best, and we hope that like things even out from your face. As far as me, what have I been up to? Oh, just seeing nature. Yeah, just going out. A lot of hikes.
Oh yeah, you were at that. What was it like? I saw like a lot of trees yesterday in your Instagram story.
Yeah, I went to Muir Woods. It's north of San Francisco. It's like a redwood national park. A lot of enormous 1,000-year-old trees.
Your age.
Thank you. Really good.
Hello, mates.
Yep. I should have saw that coming. Yep. I did that to myself. Yep. Cool. But yeah, it was just nice to be out there. There is kind of a walking path that's like very I don't know how to describe it. It was built, so it's like a wooden path, right? And that's where like it's less rigorous, so you can kind of just like walk and see the trees at the base level, or you can kind of climb up the mountain and do like a little bit more difficult, like long winding path. We did that for about 2 hours, and then we came back. I was fine, but then I had a burger and onion rings, and I was really happy with that. So yeah, that was my weekend. Yeah, I don't know, just hiking's great. I am the kind of person that if it's a group of more than 4, no, a group more than 3, and they're paired off and they're fine, I will go ahead and air quotes scout, because I just want to walk quickly and just be on my own time. I don't know. I like to just be on my own, just like think about like nature and things in the moment without too much distraction or conversation. I'm that person. I don't know. Nature and me, yeah, good relationship. People, not so much. That's fine. All right. Well, anything else? Anything you're looking forward to in the coming weeks, Koala?
Vacation.
That's right. You are going on
Akmu
vacation.
album. Akmu.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Same.
Eventually Treasure come back maybe after they get healthy again, please.
Yeah, that's that was a bummer to hear. Yeah, I hope the kids are doing well. Somi, first week of August.
Lauren.
Yes, the label mate Lauren. What if we just get a pair of angsty songs from both of them? It would not surprise me.
I don't care. He just needs to put it on Spotify.
Oh yeah, that was an issue last time. That was an issue. Yeah, I think overall summer music has been great. I think we might be moving into a moody, angsty music depending on what the releases are like in the next few weeks. Akmu, definitely.
Dark.
Unless she drops a song like Alien, cool. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. We didn't know.
The first pre-release was very dark, so...
Yeah, well, it's both of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not Soohyun. She would be the cool pop singer of the two. But maybe the entire album is like a mix of different genres, right? So I think that's just something to look forward to. All right. Well, looking forward to the rest of life. I think we are in the middle of summer, moving into August, kind of in the final stretches of summer. You know what? Life has been pretty good. I don't think there has been too many challenges, and I think, I think just getting back to normalcy and like doing things outside has helped me a lot. And Soju Sessions, plug it again. I really like to do that. I really love doing that show. I like the guests, and just opening up those kinds of conversations in a more open format has been really nice, at least for me, and my ability to be sociable. So yeah. All right, Koala, final words. Anything for the week? Any closing thoughts?
I don't think so. I'm just happy to be here again.
Yeah, happy to have you too. And if you're unable to make it because you are busy being an influencer, we might record things ahead of time and just release them later. So check out
I hate you.
The SojuTalk Nation podcast feed for that. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you for listening to the SojuTalk Nation podcast, episode 27.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord.
This has been the SojuTalk Nation for Koala. This is Crispy. Bye.
Bye.